pure adrenaline as I can remember. Because every time I'm on stage, I always think that I have 5,000 number of audience, that big audience, because that made, well, that actually brought me to wherein I need to challenge myself to do my best every single time.
The glitz and glam is the fame, but it's the work backstage that makes the game. I'm Crystel and Bandal, your host. Come with me behind the lens and watch their stories unfold. Our next guest here on Behind the Lens is another fellow host that I'm very excited to meet. But not only is he a host, he's also a jack of all trades in the entertainment industry. He knows how to sing, he knows how to dance, and he knows how to act. So please welcome onto Behind the Lens, Jojo Sebastian. Welcome onto Behind the Lens. How are you?
I'm great. I'm nervous and excited at the same time. I never thought I could feel that way, but I am feeling that way right now.
I'm a bit shocked by that because you're a host yourself and you're nervous to be interviewed.
No, but the thing is that when you're hosting, it's quite different because you have the control.
That's true.
What needs to get done. But when you're on the other receiving end, I think I'm ready, but I'm just quite nervous because I'm not too familiar being on this end, but I'm so honored to be interviewed by you.
You'll be fine. I'm sure you will.
I hope
So, as a host right now, you're very much involved in the entertainment industry. Now,
Yes.
when we were on a call yesterday, you said that you wanted to live a quiet life.
Yes.
We'll get into how you got back into the spotlight, but I wanted to know, were you always interested in the entertainment industry ever since you were young?
Yes, started singing and dancing at the tender age of 4. And that's only, starting in the streets of Laguna. But it continued on to theater, and then TV and radio, and then it just actually followed me through at this age.
You're still singing and dancing. You doing any competitions anytime soon?
Yes, I'll be representing Australia in the World Championship of Performing Arts. That will be actually in the near future, in the next 2 weeks.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wish you all the best for that.
Thank you so much.
Now, when it came to these skills, obviously it takes a lot of practice.
Correct.
Because when you're singing and dancing, it takes a lot of effort, and especially when you're dancing, honestly, that's a whole different level of practice aside
Yes.
from singing. So how did you go about practicing and improving your skill?
Well, practicing, you actually need to allot a lot of time to hone your skills. So what I did when I was younger was actually put at least an hour or 2 a day when I was younger. This is in elementary and high school, to actually perfect the craft. Because my mom is a dancer as well, so it was easy for me because she encouraged me to dance with her. So I'm talking about cha-cha, la cumbia, and all those ballroom dances. Now, when I went to high school, that's when I went into more of folk dancing and more centralized ballet dancing in the Philippines. And then it just followed me through in college, where I was a member of the dance troupe in my university.
So it was your mum who's inspired you into the industry?
My mom and my dad. My
Oh,
dad,
both of them.
although he doesn't dance, he does sing. So he's a very shy man, but I got some of his voice right there. Yeah.
Best of both worlds, I think.
Yes.
Your mum's a dancer, your dad's a singer, like where else can you go wrong?
Yes, well, sometimes it does take a little bit more of a liking to it, because sometimes it does, for example, if I didn't want it, not all of us can, or not all of my siblings would love to be in the spotlight, like what I'm doing now. They can sing, they can dance, but they're in a shyer
They don't
type.
want the limelight.
Well, maybe.
And you love it. So I guess you know my next question. What do you like about performing? What interested you? Like, what do you feel?
Well, regarding our conversation yesterday, like what I mentioned, when I'm performing, I feel like I'm at home. So I I take it that the stage is my second home, and when I'm on stage, I feel like I can just be myself. It wouldn't matter what other people might see that I'm doing. For example, when I'm singing. I normally pick a song that I can relate to. I just don't sing any song. I'm very particular with picking a song and actually rehearsing it and taking it into heart. So when I perform the song, to me, when I'm able to convey that and I'm able to affect my audience with the lyrics and the melody, that's when I know I became successful with that song. So that's
Knowing that you've done a good job.
correct. Well, knowing that you're able to inspire, affect, and somehow transcend someone through the gifts of song.
And how would you say you got to that point? Because anyone can sing or dance, honestly. If they wanted to, they can express themselves through music, but to be able to move someone takes a lot of skill. How did you get to that point?
For me, I believe experience did that for me. I life is easy. I cannot complain about life. Life is good, but there's a lot of experiences in my life that brought forth lessons that has taught me of how to apply it to when I sing. So I've always taken all experiences to heart, and when I sing, that's what I do. So especially, for example, love, or brokenhearted. I had a few brokenhearted experiences before, and that's how I apply it when I sing. Or like say we want to inspire someone, we want to empower them through a song. And I've been empowered before, and that's what I internalized before going on stage and actually performing.
Were your parents a heavy influence or a mentor into what kind of music or what kind of dances that you did?
My dad with the music that he listens to,
Yeah.
he has a huge influence with the love songs that I sing. My mom has a lot of repertoire, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint with my mom. She loves different kind of dances. She loves different kind of songs. But my dad's love for original Filipino music got me singing love songs, especially for Filipino, and then that just transcends when we moved to Honolulu. So I fell in love with Hawaiian music because it talks about love as well, aloha. And so until now, when I got here, I still sing a lot of ballads and love songs.
That's true. I've heard you sing as well, and you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
Now, when it comes to the performing arts, you've loved it ever since you were younger. Did you always know that's what you wanted to do when you grew up?
No, I actually I wanted to become a nurse.
Which is what you are now.
Yes, what I am now after a few different careers. So I wanted singing to be a passion, a hobby, but it brought me more joy to actually perform, and I was fortunate that I had the avenue to actually do it. Because there's a lot of singers and a lot of dancers that primarily didn't have the chance to actually pursue what they want. And so I was fortunate to actually move to America and then move to Australia, that provided me or accorded me the platform to actually pursue what I want.
And when you were moving between different countries, did that influence your love for performing arts at all, or did you always go back into wanting to be on stage and perform?
I actually, good thing you asked that, because yes, it did. Because like I mentioned, I wanted a quiet life when I moved to Australia. But it seems like I always go back on stage where I feel at home. Yeah.
So it was no matter where you were, you always found your way back into a stage.
Yeah, for some reason, even if I'm just an audience, actually, there was this an event that I think happened last year, that I just happened to be in the audience, and I said, finally, I'll have a good time and just watch, and I ended up on stage because it's like, oh, I needed someone to anchor. I'm like, and then Jojo's there. Can you please? I said, no, I'm just here with my partner to just watch and relax and Just be an audience.
Yeah.
No, we need you on stage. Please, please. Seems like that's the way. And in some concerts, when something technical fails, sometimes I end up singing.
Yeah.
Because they like, oh, you're here. Can you render us one or two songs? I'm like, all right, no problem.
Like a go-to guy.
Well, I hope so, but you know, I just love sharing what that I guess talent and what I can share, you know, in the community because that brings people together and that's important to me.
That's very true. Now, you've done various performances, and you also mentioned that you had a mentorship or have performed in the Philippines as well. What would you say has been some of your favorite performances in the Philippines? Let's go by in each country. Which has been your favorite performances in the country?
In the Philippines, the performance that I love is when I did this is in TV. So this was I was 16, fresh out of a seminar or a workshop, and they're like, "Well, we're looking for an extra with 3 lines. We want you there at this time." We were so excited that my dad took me, and we were there at 1 a.m. when the call time is at 6 a.m.
Wow.
Yes, that's how excited I was. I was sleeping. We took the jeep. We traveled for a couple of hours. We went to Intramuros, and the episode was in Bayani of ABS-CBN. It was Gumbursa, and I played as the assistant of Padre Burgos there. Yeah, so I had 3 lines. Saw myself on TV. Bucket list tick. And then when I moved in Honolulu, I joined the group called Ohananui, which is extended family. That is, I had a chance to perform for 5,000 audience, live audience, and that was quite fulfilling because when you sing, you're like, okay, you had a couple of 50 to 100, that's good. To 200, that's fine, but this is 5,000 people.
That's a lot
And
of
that
people.
was really like I was nervous, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna sing your song." And normally I sing back up and play ukulele, and they said, "No, you're gonna take the lead this time." And that's when I felt, okay, that's and it was also televised. So besides the 5,000 people that are watching live, it was also televised on TV, and this was a big deal for Hawaiian music. And I'm a Filipino guy singing with Filipino Hawaiian a band, and we're singing Hawaiian music. So that was really really great for me. And another one is when I was invited to host my own program in Honolulu, a radio station, like I mentioned, 24-hour Filipino station, and the program is Brother Joe and his Filipino love crew, Pinoy love crew. So I spearheaded that, and like I said, I can talk for hours. And that paved way for me just to talk. And in Australia, doing pageants again, that brought forth a lot of joy to me because I love hosting pageant when I was young, and I've joined a few in my day, and hosting here again with a different environment because you see pageants that really matter, that really do things for the community, and that's what I wanted to see. Yeah.
You've done so much. So let's go back to the Philippines, where you ended up on TV. How did that feel for you as like a 16-year-old and your dad's so excited? How did it feel for you to finally see yourself on television?
Okay, there's a culture in the Philippines wherein if you wanna do good in life, you need to be an artist. So that's a pathway I was heading besides being an engineer. So a 16-year-old guy that just graduated and did a workshop, and suddenly you get invited to a big network, ABS-CBN, to be an extra. That was fulfilling. That was the best 500 pesos I've ever had. But yeah, that 2 days there, what 500 pesos? That was great. I was seeing artists left and right. It was really a great experience, and that was just the start of it. And then I did theater and more TV and stuff like that, and it was great.
Would you say that that really inspired you, that the moment that you got there, you were like, okay, this is it, I want to continue doing this?
Yes, and I even tried dancing on TV with a group, and theater, and that really inspired me to just be in the entertainment industry. Yeah.
And what workshop were you doing? Did you say that
It's an
got you
acting
there?
workshop. We did some vocal workshop, a lot of dance workshop. Although I was already dancing hip hop then, there's lyrical dance. There's a lot of that. You need to be able to move. In the Philippines, you have to be a jack of all trades, and you can master one or two. But at the end of the day, if they require you to do lyric dancing, and if you're able to do it, they're able to give you the job. So you need to keep current of what's happening and able to become part of that industry.
Was that ever a challenge to have to learn so many things?
Yes, because at one point I know that a challenge for me is to sing fast songs
Yeah.
and to dance and sing at the same time because for some reason I get out of short of breath right away, even dancing and singing. But that's why when you see me dance and sing, sometimes I try and change not the lyrics, but the tune. I find it still challenging at this point. That's one thing that I find challenging since I was younger up to now, to sing fast beat songs. Although I've tried it.
Why is that, you think? Is it do you just not prefer it, or
In the industry, you need to have a niche, yeah? And I believe that love songs, singing love songs, ballad songs, and slow songs are my forte. However, in saying that, I don't shy away from challenges. So recently, as the past 2 years, I've been challenged to do a lot more faster songs. So I'm getting there. So I've done a few fast songs and a few dances with cha-cha and all that stuff, and so far so good. Yeah.
slowly but surely you're getting there?
I hope so, because I'm not getting any younger.
So when you went to Hawaii
Yeah.
and you performed in front of 5,000 people,
Yeah.
to be performing in front of such a large audience and then all of a sudden lead the whole band, how did that feel for you? What was the aftermath for you, like after
It
the
was
performance?
actually pure adrenaline as I can remember. Because every time I'm on stage, I always think that I have 5,000 number of audience, that big audience, because that made that actually brought me to wherein I need to challenge myself to do my best every single time. And when you're leading the song with your bandmates, when you're normally in the background, there was so much adrenaline that time, and I hit notes that I didn't know because it was falsetto, the way I used to sing falsetto, and that was actually very, very. It never left my memory because it always instilled in me that, oh, if I think that there's a lot of people listening to me, you're challenged to do better, and when you're challenged to do better, I do better under pressure.
So it is just really that adrenaline rush from the energy of the people around you. How about when you're performing in a smaller group? Do you feel like you have to exert more effort to have that same, pressure?
No, since I'm thinking that there's also 5,000 people, I always, because the only competition we have is really ourselves. At the end of the day, whether people like you or not, you were able to deliver what you wanted to deliver, and that actually satisfies me. And I'm just happier when people say, "Good job, we love your song," and things like that. So, but there are instances wherein they would say, "Oh, you should have sang it this way," because everybody has a different taste. So you can please everybody, but at the end of the day, as long as you within yourself know that you've done your best, that's all they can ask for. Yeah.
How do you handle that kind of feedback? Because obviously, as an artist, like you said, not everyone has
Yeah.
the same taste, and everyone's always going to have a different opinion.
Yeah.
How do you handle criticism that's, especially when it's on a particular component of your performance, that's like, oh, I did that specifically for me.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Actually, I listen to it because I think feedback is very important in a way that it can only help you. So no matter if it's a criticism or a feedback, because positive or negative, I take it into heart, and at the end of the day, once you process it, it's up to you what you take in, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, you cannot please everybody, but as long as in your heart you know that you've delivered what you cater for or what they ask for, and that should be satisfactory. And I take it into I take it. I guess the way I take it is their opinion is their opinion. I listen to it. I take it into consideration, and then I decide at the end of the day. You're in control.
That's true. Has it always been that way, or did
No,
it take?
no. It hasn't always been that way. It's especially when I was in Honolulu. I'm a Filipino guy who came there and try his luck in entertainment, and they can speak fluent Hawaiian, and I had to learn. I had to challenge myself, and having three jobs, like I mentioned to you before, plus school and everything else, you just have to lift your game and be the best you can be, and never pressure yourself. I always say before, when someone gives me a criticism, I take it into heart, and I end up beating myself about it. But as time passes by, I realize that um, no one can help me but me, and the people around me can support me. But at the end of the day, you need to decide on your own what you take in and what you let in your heart and your body, right?
When would you say was a turning point for you
Turning
to
point
get
for
to that?
me is probably in 2008 and 9, specifically 2009 when I did radio. Because when you take care of your content on your program, and the same with me when I'm taking care of my content, people would say, well, that content is not really good, this and that, but the content is there, so you need to make sure that you develop the content, and that actually I took it as a challenge to better myself, to provide better content for my audience, and then it became number one for a little bit. Yeah, so that's great.
Wow. And this was at your own program,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How did you go about having your own program in Hawaii?
I was actually a repetitive caller because I love listening to the radio there. So I call her, and the producer of the program contacted me and said, "Hey, I like your voice on radio. Would you like to come in to try and test and be a guest DJ?" And from there, they offered me, after one day, they offered me that slot in the evening from 9 to 12, and that's when it started.
And what was that program like? Did you always have somebody coming on there with you?
I have a co-host. We have a co-host. I have two co-hosts.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's Pinoy Love Crew. So we have a lot of callers that we invite in, probably one or two callers a program to just sit with us and talk about a specific topic. So love, broken heart, love dedications, Valentine's Day, anything about love.
Okay. Was that interesting for you to do every time?
Very interesting because you see different perspective.
Yeah.
You see a perspective of, for example, someone who's been cheated, someone who did the cheating. So it's all different perspective because most times we only hear one side of the story. But in that program, I was able to hear different side of the stories, and you're able to say, "Oh, okay, maybe that's why," and then maybe that's why it happened. And then at the end of the day, I give a lesson of the day. So this is what we're gonna do. For the people who got cheated, for example, this is my advice to you. And that caps the evening, and that's fulfilling for me because you learn through other people's experience, and that's a good thing.
And when it went into the radio, that kind of just goes back into being able to express yourself and communicate. Kind of like when you do singing and dancing, you like being to touch people's hearts, especially if it's a radio program that revolves around love.
Correct.
That can be very intimate. Did you face any challenges in doing that kind of program?
Yeah, some of the contents. Although it's late night, 9 to 12, some of the contents are a bit, like for example, mistress. How you become a mistress, or how you become. It's a bit taboo in a lot of cultures, and when you talk about it and make it a social norm, some people tend to push. For example, in Facebook, because we did have a Facebook page, and they tend to oh, why did you talk about mistresses? I was hurt by a mistress before, da 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 da.
Oh.
But the thing is that I want to cater to everyone. Everyone has a voice, and I want to be fair. I want to give everyone a fair go, non-judgmental. Although I have my own opinion, and we try to have an open mind, um, and that actually brought forth a lot of changes in me because it made me. I think it made me become more acceptable of other people's journeys, not the same as mine. And like they said, never judge someone because you have never been in their shoes.
How did you manage to create such a safe space for people to come into the show and share their stories?
So at first we interview them outside and let them know, and ask them what they're comfortable with,
Yeah.
and we work around what they're willing to say because you cannot force anyone to say things that they're not willing to. And so we work with that content, and we want to make sure that we're not going or we're not veering away from why they're there. Because sometimes now, especially nowadays, that was 10 years ago, but especially nowadays, for example, you wanted to save dolphins. Why just dolphins? So people would say, well, you gotta save sharks, this and this and this and this. But you only wanted to maintain a topic, or you wanna just concentrate in one topic. There are other days to talk about other things, but at that day, I want to talk about dolphins. So that's the same way what we do with our audience, with our co-host or callers and whatnot. We talk to them and say, okay, what do you want to say? This is the question. If we ask you this way, is that okay? Yeah, they're fine. And if they want to remain anonymous, we did. And if they want to say, this is me, then we're happy with that as well.
That's good. That must have been entertaining for you as well, and also the audience. Even though sometimes when you're dealing with topics that aren't very common
Yeah.
in the public, you're still able to push through.
Yeah, we made it fun, and that's what I miss, talking just continuously and just having fun.
Yeah, that's really important in anything that you do, is that you enjoy it and that you're able to learn every step of the way. I also liked how you said that at the end of the program, you say that you have like a lesson of the day.
Yeah.
It's always important to bring that back out there, because sometimes when you're consuming media like the radio, you're just listening mindlessly.
Yeah.
But then you get to the end and you're just like, well, what did I get out of that?
Correct. And one thing that I like what you said was is that lesson of the day is the most important part of the evening, because at the end of it all, we did the discussion, we did the information, we tackled everything and discussed everything. And although some of our listeners just listen for us in the background, that they sometimes listen and they actually pick up the content. And in saying that, we're just, at the end of it, it's just good to know that you're able to impart some lessons to someone.
Even if they don't realize it.
Exactly.
From growing up in a family with a mother and father who are both inspiring in the entertainment industry, he was able to adapt to their skills and also learn on his own. He's been able to walk on his own 2 feet, going on to television, performing in front of large audience, going on to having his own radio program, and now going back into hosting pageant competitions. He is just loving the spotlight and he's not going to stop. So make sure you continue keeping an eye out for him, because he's the go-to guy in this industry. He's doing some incredible stuff, and I'm glad to have been able to have an intimate conversation with him today, because I know that a lot of you guys would gain value, life lessons and advice that's going to be helpful in all areas of life. Remember that this is Behind the Lens. Hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you all next time.